Hey, there's my 999 Bruce B. And I want to talk about this stuff, about this $15 an hour um, wage hike that Biden is proposing. Well, he's proposing it, but it's been proposed for a long time. Bernie Sanders, various Democrats been pushing for it. So yeah, okay, Biden is behind it. I mean, he's gotten behind it now that he's president. President Biden. Um, 38 Senate Democrats endorsed this similar legislation method. Anyway, this federal wage thing, man. Um, for a long time, uh, there's been an observation that I've had. Yeah, we're talking about him facing hurdles in Congress and blah blah blah. Yeah. Republicans are going to fight against it. Certain Democrats are going to fight against it too. Um, I'm not going to go line for line through the story and all that. They're talking about Democrats might not all support it, whatever. The thing is, it doesn't matter really what the minimum wage is, okay? Because people, I mean, just think about it. There was a time, like we got the $7.50. There was a time when the minimum wage was much less, right? $4.50 an hour. Other lower prices, lower than that at certain times in history. People bought houses, they raised families, you know, and they had discretionary spending. They had food, they went to parties, they went to events. There was people back in the 60s, 70s going to movies all the time, right? So, I'm going to tell you, this is not, and I'm not against the minimum wage going up, okay? I'm not one of them people. The minimum wage going up. Biden is horrible. No. I I think it's good that it's going up. Um, let's see. They're talking about some of the censors, Democrats that might not vote for it. Yeah, blah blah. A couple people. Uh, yeah. The thing is, it doesn't. Like I was saying in the beginning, it doesn't matter if the minimum wage is 2 cents an hour. It don't matter if the minimum wage is $200 an hour. This is something that people talk about. At least I talk about. I've heard other people talk about, and we talk about it, but nobody. You go on social media, you don't see anybody saying anything about this point that I'm getting ready to say, and that is that it doesn't matter what the minimum wage is if you're not controlling the cost of living. All this crap, or how you get it, it doesn't matter. Or if you take it, you can take it from the executives in your company. You can take it from the administrative, the executive branch, the CEOs. You can take that money from them. You can distribute it to the, employees. Doesn't matter, because what happens when you don't see there's more than one side to this whole um, uh, lack of resources, lack of monetary resources in order to um, live comfortably in America or anywhere else. There's more than one side to it, and that other side, you know, is how much money are you required to spend to live? Very simple. I'm going through this, looking for anything interesting. It's not very interesting. Just talking about how some politicians are behind and some aren't. You know, And people are not, do we have 50 votes? Yes. Yeah. Sanders believes they got the votes. Yeah. He talks about budget reconciliation. All of it doesn't even really fucking matter. Sorry about my percussion. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Because as long as you're, as long as you, wow, this waitress, she doesn't make much more than she made in 1985. The Wage Act would increase the minimum tipped wage to $15 an hour. The question is, would that have anything to do with the rideshare jobs, the gig jobs? Would they? No, they wouldn't. Excuse me. She talks about how she only got a 50-cent increase in her whole career. She says life. Trying to make off money at the same money. I bet you in 1985 she was doing okay. And that's because, as I say, there's no controls on how much people have to spend to live. We are spending all of our money on basic survival, payments to basic survival, and it's like this big voodoo to speak against it. I guess because, you're a socialist, Yeah. I mean, not even to speak against it, just to speak about it, just to make, just point it out. Because the point is, if you didn't have to pay so much to live, you would need a wage hike. You would need more. You would need more money. You would need more pay. Nobody would. But they're trying to control wages, but they're not trying to control how much money is being extracted from your pocket for basic needs like housing, bills, utility bills, things like necessities like car, gas, food, water. Those things have steadily hiked in price to where there is a standard that you have to meet. Depends on your area where you live, but it is a standard where you have to meet in order to live half-ass decent. Otherwise, you are living in the dregs. You are a dregs of society person. It's not you as a person. You're a great person. I'm talking about how you are forced to live. You're forced to live in a poor situation, and you start losing things, and you lose your possessions, you lose your credit, you lose your health. Once you lose your credit, because then the employers pile it on too, because they look at your credit. They don't look at your credit and say, well, he's poor, or he lost, or he or she lost their job. They don't care about that. There's a change of life conditions. They don't care about that. They just look at your credit. Oh, shoot, you're irresponsible. You got a, $5,000 bill here that you haven't paid, even though you've been on unemployment for 3 years. There's all these things wrapped up, and it's not, just about how much you're getting paid per hour on your job. That's not going to help. It's never helped. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Because even though the wages are still low, there has been raises in the minimum wage, and it hasn't done jack. It hasn't done jack because there's always somebody with a hand out taking that money from you. Number one is your freaking whoever you're paying to live, the house, the apartment, landlord, management, mortgage, whatever you're paying to live, just to have a roof over your head. It's steadily going up, and sometimes whole areas fly up, with the gentrification. Sometimes it's not gentrification, but they just want a higher class of people who, come in and they decide to go ahead and pay extra money. I don't know why. That apartment or that condo, what used to be an apartment, is like 10 times more than it used to be, and they're like, oh, I can afford it, Yeah, you can afford it now. What if you lose your job? Can you afford it then? It's very easy to lose everything. I know. I've been there. I am there. So that's the problem I have with this whole thing. Not just Biden, but overall with the minimum wage shit. And I'm hoping, I kind of halfway hope that they're not knowledgeable of this and just playing us. I hope they're just that dim-witted. I just hope that it's that dumb. And I was saying I'm leaning toward Democrat. I'm not against Democrats, but I just hope they're just that stupid that they act, that they believe that. That's what I'm kind of hoping. I'm hoping that they don't. Are they trying? Or do they really know? Do they really? I hope they don't. But then I hope they do. I don't know. All I know is it's not going to work. Everybody, you're going to get your $15 an hour, hopefully. And you'll see. When your landlord asks you for another $1,000 a month. I mean, shoot. I had a landlord when I was living in Oakland, California. This landlord, management company. The Lapham Company. What their name was, Lapham Company. Actually told me that they that kind of partnership with the city, got inside connection, and they track people's raises. Because I was like, every time I get a raise in pay, I got to pay more rent. It's because they have access to that information. It might be a general. They might say, well, he's a city of Oakland worker. His anniversary is blah blah blah. So we know he's gonna get a raise. So jack that rent up. It was always on point with me getting a raise in pay too. I mean, it was a cut because after I got up to a certain amount, you don't get a raise in pay, right? But there might be some agreements, like with our union. Like with our union, there was agreements, right? And then our pay would get raised, and then all of a sudden I'd see it right after that. So I'm telling you, it doesn't work. And it's not going to work until you cut off the profiteering. I mean, of course you're going to make a profit, but you don't have to make all the profit, right? Because what you're doing is you're making people poor. That makes people poor when you take all the money. And it makes these plans, this $15 an hour minimum wage plans, mean absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm going to cut it off on that. We'll see what happens. Let me know. When I'm right, I'm right. All right? Peace in your hood.